The sudden passing of Bonnie Tyler just a few days ago, July 8th, 2026, is extremely sad, and of course it makes us all want to look back on her career at our favorite moments. For me, that moment was the music video for Total Eclipse of the Heart. It was gorgeous, it was haunting, and it was years, decades really, before it dawned on me that this isn't just some outrageously dramatic love song. This song is about vampires. Tanz der Vampire. The first time I ever saw or heard of Bonnie Tyler was when a TV show called Friday Night Videos showed Total Eclipse of the Heart. The song itself was famously written by Jim Steinman, whose signature style we all know from Meat Loaf's Bat Out of Hell, as well as Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All, Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now, and of course, Tyler's follow-up hit, Holding Out for a Hero. Steinman originally began writing Total Eclipse of the Heart under the title Vampires in Love for a musical that he was working on, and that musical was based on the 1922 film Nosferatu, widely considered to be the original vampire movie. The musical never got made, and according to Bonnie Tyler, Steinman didn't finish writing the song until after the two had met in person, much to the chagrin of Meat Loaf, who really wanted the song for himself. Meat Loaf, in fact, went to his grave insisting that the song had been written for him, and that he only lost it because his record label refused to pay Steinman. Bonnie Tyler's response to Meat Loaf, in her own words? Tough shit. With a wink and a smile, of course. We'll dig further into the vampire side of the story in a bit, but first I think it's worth understanding how this song even came together in the first place. For years, Tyler's label, RCA, had been pushing her toward becoming a country music star, and Bonnie was definitely not on board. She wanted to rock, so when her RCA contract ended, she said see ya and went to a new label, Columbia. Around this time, she saw Meat Loaf performing on British TV and decided, that's the sound I want. She asked Columbia to approach Steinman. They told her it wasn't going to happen, that a guy coming off of one of the biggest selling debuts in recent memory would never say yes. But Tyler was insistent, and she told them, please try. And he said yes. Steinman later called Bonnie Tyler's voice one of the most passionate voices he'd heard in rock and roll since Janis Joplin. Steinman booked the Power Station in New York, an iconic recording studio that was the choice of music legends such as Blondie, Diana Ross, Dire Straits, and Aerosmith, to name a few. Bruce Springsteen and his E Street Band had also recorded there, and nearly all of Tyler's album, Faster Than the Speed of Night, included E Street's Roy Bittan on piano and Max Weinberg on drums. As for the final version of Total Eclipse of the Heart, the version that we've all heard a million times, that was just the second take from the Power Station. The finished album track ran almost 7 minutes, but there was no way in hell that was getting played on the radio, so the radio version was cut to 4.5. Total Eclipse of the Heart basically conquered the world. It went to number 1 in the UK, number 1 in America for 4 straight weeks. It also hit number 1 in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, and Norway. And here's one of the greatest pieces of Billboard chart trivia you're ever going to hear. In the US, the song that was stuck at number 2, behind Total Eclipse, was Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All, also written by Jim Steinman. But none of this was what caused 12-year-old me to sit there slack-jawed in front of the TV. That was the music video. If you haven't watched it since the 80s, please pause this and go watch it right now. I'll pin a link in the comments, because you will not believe what's actually in there. Bonnie Tyler in a flowing white gown wandering through an enormous gothic building at night, doors blowing open, curtains going insane, a dove flies in for some reason, and then the boys show up, choir boys with glowing eyes, shirtless swimmers in goggles, fencers, gymnasts, football players, and inexplicably, all the action starts off with ninjas. The director was Russell Mulcahy, whose resume included MTV's first ever music video, Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles, as well as Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf and Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes, among many others. Mulcahy and Steinman storyboarded the whole thing over a bottle of red wine. Mulcahy's own account goes like this. I'd say, let's set it in a school and have ninjas in one scene, and he'd say, he being Steinman, let's have a choir boy with glowing eyeballs. And that's basically it. That was the artistic process. They shot it in 2 freezing days at Holloway Sanatorium, an abandoned Victorian mental asylum outside London, which explains why the boarding school looks like a gothic horror set. And the shoot itself got a little weird. During the slow-motion shot of a boy throwing a dove at the camera, who was originally going to be shirtless, Bonnie Tyler came around the corner, saw what they were filming, and, according to Mulcahy, screamed that he was, quote, a prevert, and she stormed off the set. Mulcahy swore that they weren't trying to be gross. The imagery, he said, was meant to be erotic and gothic and creepy, but pure. Tyler herself has hinted that she never fully understood her own video. Billboard magazine, in their first ever Video Music Awards, nominated Total Eclipse for, and I promise this is a real category, Most Effective Use of Symbolism. The trophy went to Billy Joel's video for Pressure. But if you watch Total Eclipse of the Heart again, knowing that it began as Vampires in Love, it starts to make sense. Steinman said the lyrics were vampire lines all along. Your love is like a shadow on me all of the time. The glowing eyes, the darkness, the final shot where it's suddenly daytime, everything's normal, the students are filing in, and one of the boys looks at Tyler with those glowing eyes. I don't know what I thought this music video was about, but I definitely didn't think it was about vampires. Maybe I got thrown off by the ninjas and the fencers, but turns out it was a vampire story hiding in plain sight, and it took me, and probably a lot of people, decades to figure it out. And here's the ending that hardly anyone knows about. The vampire song eventually went home. In 1997, Steinman finally got his vampire musical. Tanz der Vampire. Sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that. It was staged in Vienna, directed by Roman Polanski, who left the US for good in 1978 for reasons, and needing a big love duet on a tight deadline, Steinman reached for his vampire song. Total Eclipse of the Heart, rewritten in German, is sung by a character who is an actual vampire, and it's still performed on stages in Europe today. Meanwhile, in the US, the song keeps finding ways to stay relevant. A dance cover of the song hit number 2 in the 90s, Glee took it back into the top 20 in 2010, it's been in Urban Legends, Futurama, Better Call Saul, Stranger Things, a Super Bowl commercial, and of course, Old School, in 2003, where Will Ferrell is dancing with his new bride, and then he's like, wait, what? Total Eclipse of the Heart has even crossed over into a celestial tradition. Every time the moon crosses the sun, millions of Bonnie Tyler fans start playing the song. During the 2015 eclipse, streams jumped over 200% in a day. In 2017, sales spiked 500% and the song hit number 1 on iTunes, 34 years after its release, while Tyler sang it live on a cruise ship during an actual eclipse. In 2024, it went to number 1 on iTunes again, and Bonnie, in her 70s, re-entered the Billboard Artist charts. She said she never once got tired of it. Every time I sing it, she said, is like the first time. Bonnie Tyler is gone, and she is most certainly going to be missed. But her music isn't going anywhere, especially Total Eclipse of the Heart. The next Total Eclipse is supposed to happen on August 12th, 2026. It may not be visible from America, but I suspect that a lot of Americans will press play anyway.